smiles on her mouth literally took it there. And, I'm just going to be fair. I'm just going to be fair in this when it comes on to that situation. So before we even get right into literally what took place, that part, we are going to start the review off with we saw where Kelly and Charles, they will be having a cooking, like a cook-off. Now, during the cook-off, we had Drew, I believe it was Drew, Angela, and Phaedra. Kelly invited for her cook-off. And pretty much she says that she felt like she was getting a connection with these ladies, and she pretty much wanted them to be there so she can develop more of a connection with them. Of course, Brit was not there. On the other hand, we had Brit basically hosting finally Cynthia and Portia at her house. Now, during this cook-off, we had Angela who carried Charles to this cook-off, and the ladies were getting all ready and everything, and the cook-off was going off on a pretty much good note. And then we had someone on the sideline decided to come over to Angela and be like, "Hey, can I talk to you? I have something to tell you about Charles, but I wanted to." And I'm like, "Sir, if you don't go away from here, we all see that you're here for some camera time. And the fact that you are just basically forcing your way into a scene." And then we saw where he was then cheersing with Kelly and the rest of some other random people. And then he says, "If your name is not Angela and your husband is not cheating on you, whatever." And I'm like, this just reminded me of that assistant that Drew brought onto the show that was always messy. And he came on basically trying to look for some camera time pretty much. And this situation just kind of reminded me of that situation when this guy pretty much stepped into the scene. No one knew who he was. Kelly wasn't aware who this person is, but apparently she says her event where it was set up where persons could RSVP. So I guess that it was not just an invite only, it was that other persons who are aware of the event were able to RSVP. And I guess he RSVP to this event. And it became now where he's now trying to tell Angela that he works at some restaurant, and apparently her husband is who tends to come to the restaurant, and I guess he comes there with another female, and he's pretty much cheating on Angela. And of course, I like the fact that Angela was able to keep her composure and not necessarily let this wannabe come in and trying to tell her what her husband is doing or try to get wild up. Because I'm happy that Charles did not hear what this person said, because I think if he did hear that, as we see what's going to happen in the finale, it would have popped off a little right there and then in Kelly's event. And I like the idea of how Kelly was able to have security escort him out and not be messy and keep this guy around to create more drama. I like the fact that she clocked that this dude is being messy and it's very disrespectful. And I like the fact that she had security escort him out. But I am just giving Angela all the utmost respect. The fact that she was able to hold her composure, she did not get up or get wild up. She just knows how to, remain classy. Now, I don't know, but when this dude walked over, the facial expression of Phaedra, I allegedly feel like Phaedra basically is someone who may potentially have someone come to this filming session to do something like this. Because the way when the dude walked over, her facial expression, the fact that she quickly navigated to the side, it just gave me like, who this dude is, what he's coming with. And obviously we're going to find out in the finale because apparently he was paid by some guy to basically come to this event to say this. So I'm guessing in the finale we're going to find out who was the person who paid him to come. But I don't know, it was a bit messy, it was a bit uncalled for. And yeah, I just like the idea of that they were able to nip it in the bud and not get all wild up. Now we did see as well where we saw where Kelly was going to court. It was supposed to be her supposed to finalize her divorce, but of course that did not happen. And she came back home, and I think Shamia went and checked in on her, and then we also had Angela who called to check in to see if she was okay. And we found out then and there that Britt and Kelly haven't spoken since Grenada. And she is also shocked the fact that Brit is not showing up for her in terms of calling her. She knows that this was supposed to be the final for the divorce and everything like that. And at no point did Brit check in. And I could see that because I already saw where Brit is not a girl's girl. She literally, as we saw in the flashbacks, where Kelly was showing up so much for Brit in the whole Kenya situation, in the whole her country club fiasco that she was putting on, she showed up for her, and all other stuff that she showed up for her. But in this situation, I guess the stylist drama is what is making Brit feel like she should not reach out. And I'm thinking, like, is it that serious, like, over some stylists that you guys ladies are really arguing over stylists? Like, I don't like the idea, yes, that her she is trying to use Kelly's team or trying to have all of Kelly's people. Like, yeah, I helped you out once or twice because we're filming and I don't want you to look like a raggedy bitch on camera. But for you to feel as if like it means that now you should be recruiting or no, she's basically giving you all of her team to utilize as well, and we are on the same show. Like, I could see how that could be frustrating. Like, when are you gonna hire your own people? No, they are now probably telling me that, oh, I'm here styling Brit right now. Give us a few, we'll get to you. And it's like, you who were the main person and this was your team, maybe now becoming like this sideline. And I think it will become frustrating at some point. And it is frustrating, yes, if you guys are on the same show. And yes, I helped you out because you didn't have a stylist when we were doing a trip out in Nashville. But for you to feel like, no, you want to use this girl's entire team, her videographer, everybody, it's like, at what point are you going to find your own people so they can style? So I was just like, I see Brit's, not Brit, I see Kelly's side, but also a point of me is like, yeah, I will get to that. But then we got to where we saw Phaedra. So we saw where Phaedra, which is thankfully some personal story from Phaedra, where we saw her son basically, he sewed some pants and he started his own line, and she's putting on a show where she wants to debut the line of the son. And I must say her kids have to see that we saw when they were born, to see now where they're at right now, and the fact that her son is learning to sew and stuff like that. I was really excited to see that, and I was happy to say that it must be comforting to see your child that see them grow and actually turn into something productive and not just out there spending parents' money or taking advantage. Like, they're trying to do something with their life. And that was really nice to see. And I like this side of Phaedra. Like, it wasn't the same friend off type of role. It was more showing something personal to her story. And I think it was a bit more than we got in Married to Medicine. When she was on Married to Medicine, this was a bit more in depth in the whole, her personal life. Now, of course, we then got to where we saw at the same thing when the Kelly thing. So we're going to go back to where we now had Brit, Portia, and Cynthia at their place. Now, Brit, to me, is just always performative. The way how she was like telling this tea about the whole stylist thing and saying that she found out that Kelly's stylist was pulling looks for Shamia, and how is it that you don't want the stylist to work with me, but now you want the stylist to work with Shamia? And at the end of the day, if it's her stylist and she's the one paying, who cares if she decides that she wants the stylist to work with Shamia? I don't think that is a problem, and I think that's what Britt is not understanding. Yes, I believe, yes, Kelly should have said to her friend to say, hey, I think now you need to search for your own people or whatever it is. But for you to feel as if like it was totally fine to just be using this girl's entire team. Whether yes, if you're paying for her, but I think at some point, like source your own people. There are so many people I'm sure around that who would love to be a stylist as someone on this show. So the fact that you were just utilizing the girl entire team is not what is one thing you're using her stylist, but then for you to wanting her videographer, her photographer, like okay, girl, find someone for yourself. So the way how she was telling these girls, I was like, this is Brit. She loves the drama and she wants these girls to pretty much be on her side. So she's there in the scene, basically trying to let everyone know that, hey, guess what I found out? And trying to bond by being messy. And then she brought up the whole thing where she saw messages in Shamia's phone in terms of regarding Portia. So it's like now you're creating more friction again between Shamia and Portia when they did have a conversation. You're here creating friction. And we did see where Shamia came out and said that she shared no information with Brit. But now Shamia, if she shared no information with Brit, I'm trying to understand then how was it Brit was able to know that yes, she got the thing wrong when she said a lawyer and it was actually Portia's therapist, but how did she know that if nothing was shared? But I just don't like this whole thing that Brit just felt so giddy or so happy to share these information in a way of trying to bond with these ladies. And it's sad that you feel like the only way you can bond with these ladies is by you being messy and gossipy. So it was just a bit of very alarming where they were basically doing all of that for no apparent reason. Now we did get to the next thing where we saw it was actually Phaedra's events where she pretty much got into it. I mean, not Phaedra. I think the ladies arrive at Phaedra's event because we know that she's putting on like a fashion show. And Drew, of course, was late. And we saw where Sweet Tea was also invited. She as well was outside with Drew. But then Kelly, it would now be the first time I believe Kelly and Britt will be seeing each other scene to the since they came back from Grenada. No, we saw where they came and pretty much the ladies. Britt came in. She agreed to the ladies. She started to greet Kelly. Kelly ignored her because, as far as Kelly is concerned, is that she was going through something when it came on to her divorce and Brit did not show up for her. So of course the beef was going on with the stylist behind the scenes and then the whole not showing up for. So she's felt like she ain't go pay Brit no dust basically. So she showed up and she pretty much said to her that it started off hot and I would say yes in this situation because now I'm gonna be fair is fair. I believe Kelly started this and Brit finished this, but she went very low. And for Kelly, I felt like this could have been avoided if, yes, you did said to your friend that you're feeling some type of way about her using your team or trying to recruit your entire team and everything like that. I feel like that was something you guys could have discussed and it probably would have escalated to this level. I would understand, yes, if you had this conversation with her and then she's playing it off like you guys didn't have this conversation. But I think this was something that could have been avoided. And the fact that it had to reach here at an event for someone like, especially Phaedra's event. But I would say, yes, Kelly, you kind of started it because I believe she was saying something about I think someone was saying that I think Angela was saying that the guy she found out that the guy was paid by some other guy, and then I think Kelly said something like, "Oh, maybe it's the persons who didn't show up," and then it started into this back and forth between Britt and Kelly, and of course we got the "no one wants to be your little hobbit," and rightfully so. I would say Britt was gathering Kelly for Kelly who started it. Britt was gathering Kelly, but where I think Britt lost me is when she decided to mention the fact that she was having abortions during her marriage. And this is where, for someone, for Britt who took it there with Kenya and Kenya retaliated and you pretty much play victim, you would have thought that you would have learned your lesson. But it's like you came back again going low. And then to go that low for someone that you were so close with. It's just confusing to me that this girl is just full of drama. Like, yes, Kelly started it, but I think there was a way for you because you were pretty much gathering Kelly before you had to go that low. And it's sad to say that you decided to use something that allegedly, if she did share with you, but according to Kelly's interview clip, she said that she did not have any abortions because she had had her tubes tied since having her twins. So if she even wanted to have a child, she cannot have a child. For you to share something like that, especially on a scene with a group of people around, it just shows you how classless Brit is. And this is something that I am so happy that we don't have to put up with for the next upcoming season, because it just shows you that she does not know how to have a verbal war, to put it that way, with someone without going low or without trying to take it to the gutter. And I think what she did was she basically took it to the gutter. And it was really distasteful to see. And it's not something that I would even, I wouldn't even, yeah, it was just distasteful. And it's something I was really turned off by. And yeah. But of course, the ladies, they went into the show. Drew was able to come in, and also Sweet Tea, and they watched the show. We saw where Phaedra's son announced their line that you can now pre-order. I don't remember what the name of this line was, but he announced his line. And for the most part, then Phaedra was able to tell, because I think the person were asking where was Portia. And we did see where Portia did call Phaedra to let her know that she was not able to attend the event because her cousin Lonnie, I believe is Londi, yeah, passed away. And that is really sad, and condolences to Portia and her family regarding that. And we saw where Phaedra told the ladies that the reason why Portia wasn't there is because she just found out that her cousin Londi died. Now, what also was surprising to me is that it seemed as if that Shamia was also just finding out about that. And for Portia and Shamia to be friends and for them to have worked through their differences, it was quite shocking to see that. Yes, I understand her telling Phaedra because she was invited to Phaedra's event, so you want to tell her why you're not able to attend. But it was quite shocking that Shamia wasn't even aware of this happening. She literally found out then and there. And that was just really sad. And I'm saying, is it because of what Brit said to you that she allegedly shared text messages between the two of you? So you're pretty much trying to get back at her with not sharing that. I really don't know the timeline or the understanding of that, but it was just crazy to see that this is someone who you would consider a friend or a close friend. So I think that you guys are now good to see that you're now finding out about something like this when it was something that could have been shared through a text message or through a phone call. So, but that was that. But we are finally on the final leg of the season. Next week, we'll be getting the season finale. I'm sure at some point throughout this week, we'll be getting the reunion trailer. We will definitely recap that to see what the trailer brings, if they were able to salvage anything out of this reunion, because we didn't have Kenya nor Brit showed up. So let's see if this reunion will be giving anything interesting to see. How many parts will there be? Based on the fact that Brit wasn't there or anything like that, I believe 2 parts. I'm still yet to see why is it that Brit felt like the cast turned against her, and why she felt like she needed to go the route that she went in the past week. But maybe on the finale, I think it's supposed to be I don't know if it's going to be a supersized finale, but let's see if it will show. I heard that she allegedly said something again regarding Shamia's child. Still not seen that as yet. So I would love to see what will the finale bring per se. But for me, this episode was a bit, it was just there. It was more leading up into Phaedra's event. But yeah, but let me know, guys, in the comment section, whose side are you on? Are you on Brit's side or Kelly's side? I am being fair. I would say Kelly, yes, started the argument, but I believe Brit finished it. And of course, Brit did go low, too low. But let me know, guys, whose side you're on. Remember to like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.